Hi everyone, it's Alan Coulthard here, and this is the second of my interviews called Music Legends. And today I'm with the lead singer of the boy band Bad Boys Inc. from the 90s, Mr. Matthew James. And subsequently, Matthew became part of a very successful band called MadHen. And 5 years ago, he was selected to sing at the Eurovision You Decide competition in London. And it's around that time that I actually met Matthew. So hi, Matthew, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Good to see you.
Good, and you? So how's lockdown been for you?
Mixed bag, good days, bad days. Very strange how work just literally was decimated overnight. Last gig I did was the 29th of February last year, and I was actually unwell at the time with a bad throat infection. So for me at the beginning, I was really pleased to just get a bit of rest, a bit of vocal rest, and then it just sort of reality dawned, and it was like, okay, there's no work for a few months, which became a few more months, and then yeah, it's been strange, but it's a nice time to sort of be reflective, spend time with my partner, the dogs, do stuff I put off around the house, because I'm always jetting off doing bits and pieces around the world singing with MadHen, so it's a bit of a crazy life. So it's actually quite nice to be grounded for a little while.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have felt like that, because for example, I've branched into other things that I've never even considered doing before, like doing this sort of thing. So it gives you a time to reflect, doesn't it? Let's go back to the very beginning then. So how did you get into singing, and at what age was that approximately?
I started at a drama school when I was 8. So then from that, I was just basically acting. So my first show was a West End show. Had no idea what I was doing, turned up for an audition, got the job, ended up playing Maggie Smith's son in a Tom Stoppard play like you do at the tender age of 8 years old. And then singing became sort of part of it because I started doing musicals and stuff. And then I did an Alan Bennett play when I was about 15 with Stephen Fry at the Queen's Theatre in the West End. So I sang in that. Although it was a play, I was one of the only kids who sang in it. And then I always loved singing. I mean, I was a bedroom singer with my hairbrush with Kylie on in the background, thinking I was going to be a pop star. Careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
and,
you did.
Yeah, no, exactly. So my training, my real training, was probably in the bedroom more than in my drama school. So singing sort of became sort of musicals. Then I thought I better get some dance training. So I went to London Studio Centre in King's Cross at the time. And then literally, I'd only been there from September 1992, and then I got a phone call in May 93 that this man Ian Levine wanted to put a boy band together. And the rest is history, literally.
But before we move on to that, just to explain a little bit about the Welsh Connection.
The Welsh Connection is just that my brother married a young Welsh lady. So my parents actually up sticks. They used to live in Bromley in Kent, and they moved down to Wales about 10 years ago now. Didn't even ask me, just left. Didn't give me a forwarding address. So I spend a lot of time down in Wales because it's just nice to go down and see them. And I spend more time with them now probably than I did back then, because they were just around the corner. So I used to pop in for a cup of tea, but now I sort of come down for a week or so, and it's lovely. It's lovely to spend time down here. And also I'm sort of between Cardiff and Bristol, so got the best of both worlds.
You're quite near where my sister lives, actually. Chepstow, because we met in Chepstow.
Yeah, very, very near. Yeah.
So let's go on then to Bad Boys Inc. and Ian Levine. So just to elaborate a little bit more on how it started, the process of casting.
Yeah, the band were together before I joined. Richard Travis was the original lead singer, and they'd been working together for a couple of months, probably 3 or 4 months. I might have got that wrong. And Richard decided to leave and get a solo deal. So Ian was desperate to find someone and rang a friend who was an agent that I was with, who I'd done one commercial for. And he said, "Can you sing?" He said, "This producer called Ian Levine has just been working with Take That and had done all these tracks with Take That. And then Nigel Martin Smith didn't want to use them. So Ian said, I'll put my own boy band together," in a semi-spiteful way towards Nigel Martin Smith, just to say, well, up yours, I'll put my own band together. Yeah. So he did, and Bad Boys Inc. was formed. And then I got a phone call in May the 3rd, 93. And I was having a bank holiday Monday, feeling really depressed because I was hating college, because I was studying ballet at the age of 21, which is a bit awkward to start doing ballet. And I got this phone call, and I was like, "Can you sing down the phone?" I was like, "Yeah." Didn't think anything about it. Sang down the phone. Sang Careless Whisper. Ian went, "Can you do it higher?" So I did it higher. And he went, yeah, great. Can you fax me? This is how long ago it was. Can you fax me some pictures? So God knows what they looked like when they came through. And then literally 2 hours later, I was in the studio demoing Don't Talk About Love. There's a little mini audition. And then the next day I was in the band photo shoot at Alton Towers in a teacup, like you do when you're in a boy band. You'll do anything. So it was a really weird, because I wasn't really nervous, or I didn't have anything sort of, there was no build up to it. It was like, I'll sing down the phone to this guy, and I was like, well, give it a go. And then the next day I was in the band, and then 10 days later we signed a record deal with A&M. So that was just,
oh my, that's incredible, isn't
just
it? What a story.
Absolutely bonkers. Yeah. Very, very, very in at the deep end.
So actually, just elaborate in terms of who wrote the songs and produced it. Presumably it was Ian who wrote the songs.
Yeah, he wrote various ones with various people. Hazel Dean was involved, Nigel and Clive, who he's worked with for years. John Reed did some other latter stuff. Yeah, because Whenever You Need Someone was a Nightcrawlers song that never got released, which happened to be our third single. And then when it was sort of after Walking on Air, when we'd sort of, as we said at the time, run out of songs, we got some new songs written. It was John Reed who collaborated with Ian on Take Me Away, Love, Here I Come, and Change Your Mind, basically. We did get to write one.
Oh, did you? Which one was that?
It's called You're My Destiny. It actually did get on the album. I wrote it in Old Compton Street in the cafe.
Yeah.
Like you do.
Yeah, because Nightcrawlers, of course, was John Reed's band, wasn't it? And they were successful in the 90s as well. And there's a few connections there, because Mary Kearney as well, who sang on my songs.
Mary.
There was she sang with them as well. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on then to the other members of the band then. So just explain who the other members are, perhaps for people who don't remember the band so well.
David Ross, Tony Dowding, and Ali Begg. Ali Begg being from Aberdeen, football mad turned pop star, which is very strange. His career ended when he did his knees in. So he turned from, like many footballers who were good in their prime, and then it all goes a bit pear-shaped. Tony was a model, Ali was a model. Actually, they were all picked from model agencies.
Yeah, I'm not
David
surprised.
had only just started. David was the youngest in the band, so he was a little baby. He was like 18 when he first joined. 18, 19. Yeah. And I was the old one. I was 21, turning 22 just as we signed our deal.
I think Ali's actually a sports broadcaster now. I don't know if you...
He was for a while. He did that for a while, and now he's a producer on sports TV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's moved a lot. He was in Doha for a while, and then he moved to Salzburg in the last year.
So are you in contact with the other guys still? Or...
Yeah. We all speak every now and again. Ali and Tony speak more often. They used to be sort of the bestest pals in the band. Me and David probably speak more often, but Ali's the one who's kept in touch with most people. He wasn't so communicative when we first met. He was a bit homophobic, to be honest. So it was a bit awkward at the beginning. And yeah, really, it was just a bit.
Oh, okay.
I think because he'd come from Aberdeen and moved to London with all the models and stuff and that sort of industry, he'd probably been asked to do dodgy things at auditions and just felt a bit sort of, I don't know, funny about the whole industry. He never really liked it. And I'm not even sure he enjoyed being a pop star at the time, but it was a massive learning curve for us all. We all had our different things going on. So yeah, they were all models and I was the only one who had to sing.
And that was one of my questions, actually. So you were actually the only one who was singing on the tracks, is that right? You were the lead singer. Yeah,
the boys sang on some of the tracks, but I did all the vocals. We never got to share vocals. We went and did some demos and some writing with Warner Chappell, and the boys all sang on that. The boys could sing, but Ian just used his own people. I mean, John Reed singing on some of the stuff, Robbie Craig singing on some of the stuff. It's like a plethora of old Motown artists and people that Ian's got in his cupboard.
Well, I don't see there's a problem with that, really, because you have a fantastic voice, if you don't mind me saying so. And then the other guys were great dancers, and you've got.
It's like Britney and the whole Toxic thing. I mean, you can really hear Kathy Dennis singing on Toxic. Yeah. It's almost more Kathy than Britney, so no one's got a real problem with it, and I know Britney probably doesn't.
I mean, some of the problems with bands is where you do get competition between the singers. All the group can sing, or 3 out of 4 can sing, and then there's a battle. I mean, a good example of that is Take That, I suppose, with Robbie and Gary. And
well, it was Ian's decision to put Robbie on Could It Be Magic, and apparently Gary was really peed off
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he said, no, I want Robbie to sing on this. And Gary was like, that's not how it happens.
I think that might be something to do with why Ian sort of, because he did quite a lot to do with Take That, didn't he? He did I Thank Heaven, I think. He produced it, and Let It Be Magic. And I don't know if there was a conflict there.
The issue started really when Nigel took Could It Be Magic and got the Rapino brothers to remix it. And there was issues with them still using Billy Griffin's vocals, and Ian hadn't been asked if they could remix it and stuff. So Ian had a bit of beef from sort of the day one when we got together, and we were put against them at the beginning. It was horrible because it was Ian and Nigel's argument really, and it's like, well, that's not our sort of political challenge. We're out there just being a boy band and taking our tops off.
Well, I've got the utmost respect for both of them. I mean, they've both done
exactly
amazing contributions to music.
Yeah.
And in terms of your video, let's look at the first video, because I always like to know a bit about videos. Not all of them necessarily, but the first one that you did. Do you know? I don't know if you can remember who produced it, or if not, what was? Don't worry. About the recording process of the video. How was that for you? Because it must have been memorable for your first one.
Yeah, the video was weird because I'd been in the studio. I was given a cassette tape every night because I literally had to record 24 tracks. As soon as I joined the band, I was literally in the studio every day in Chiswick doing 3 songs a day. I got a cassette the day before and then I sang them the day after. So I wasn't really like au fait with them and didn't know what the lyrics meant and stuff. I'd literally sang them sort of bit by bit. And then the video came about shortly after that because the single came out quite quickly from signing the record deal. We signed on the 13th of May, 93. And I want to say the single came out the 2nd of August. So between then, it was just literally press and sort of establishing ourselves. We did a massive tour with Radio 1. Doing the road shows out and about in Northern Ireland and Northern England. And then the video was sort of like, well, we need a video, so you're going to have to quickly fly over to Milan we went to originally.
Oh, right.
Flew to Milan to somewhere just outside, I can't remember the name, and it rained. So then we took the whole production team to Mallorca, like you do. And it was supposed to be something like a 30 grand video, which sounds a lot nowadays, but I mean, they were making videos for like millions back then. We had NME following us. So it wasn't just a case of flying 4 boys out in the crew, it was like the NME, and then there was other people from other magazines and TV and radio people. So it was weird, but it was fun. It's something I'd always wanted to do, and suddenly I was like, oh my God, I'm actually making a pop video. It's just really weird. I mean, lip syncing in your mirror in your bedroom with a hairbrush is very different to actually doing it under lights and everyone staring at you.
You must have had a choreographer, I would have thought, as well. So.
Yeah, we went through a few actually.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the first one was because they all knew the routine, so I was sort of like thrown in and I was sort of shoehorned into everything. It's like, right, that's what you do there. So I just learnt it all quickly, and luckily I've been doing dancing at college, so I picked it up pretty quickly. But yeah, shooting the video was fun. It was a giggle back then, and then they just get harder and harder as you get more and more busy and more tired and more jaded.
I mean, this may embarrass you a bit, but you have been described as a group as one of the best looking boy bands ever. No, I've seen it. So it's on YouTube.
Is that quoted as my mum?
No, it's on YouTube, many comments, and I probably would subscribe to that. So, but you've said that the guys were actually models anyway, apart from you and was it Ali? You said wasn't a model.
No, they all were. They'd all been like they'd all done My Guy and Just 17 and Looking and all those magazines.
Oh, well, so yeah,
pin-up sort of stuff, yeah. And then I came along and I was like the ugly sprog.
Well, no, that's definitely not the case. But you don't mind me saying so. But so you were in a way the only one that didn't maybe have as much experience in doing choreography for dance.
No, I had more dance experience than the rest of them. Yeah. I mean, Ali had 2 left feet and he'd be the first to say it. So we used to really help him out and say, look, we know you can do it. And if you did it really methodically, he would pick it up. But he wasn't like a natural dancer. Whereas David was used to taking his top off and dancing in the club and swinging his t-shirt around his head. He was normal. He was like used to it. It's
a bit like Take That, really, because I just thought Gary was a bit like a fish out of water in the early videos, to be honest. But obviously he's a legend now. But it didn't. I mean, an amazing songwriter as well.
Yeah, dancing was never Gary's forte, and he never pretended to be anything but a good songwriter, basically.
No. Okay, then can we? Oh, actually, no, I'm going to ask this, sorry. So did you get a lot of female attention, bearing in mind you were in the charts?
just a fair bit, yeah.
Yeah? How was that for you?
It was really weird because I'd come out to my parents when I was 19, so I was now 22 at this time.
Yeah.
Most of my friends, close friends and family knew. And when I auditioned for Ian, he asked me straight away and he said, oh, you can't say anything about that. You have to be back in the closet. And I was like, it's like we went back to 1950s and I put my pinny away and stuff. So that was really weird. And in hindsight, I wish I hadn't, but I was just sort of desperate to be in a boy band, basically. And it's different times as well now.
I mean, this was the 90s, and to put it in context for anyone watching this, it wasn't, you know, I mean, anyone who's seen It's a Sin will know what things were like in the 80s and then the 90s.
Completely.
It was not that dissimilar, really. And then people started to come out, I think, because was it Stephen Gately was the most famous one. And
the sad thing with that is, the sad thing with Stephen coming out, he was forced out.
Yeah.
It's like either you tell us you're gay or we'll run a story in the tabloids anyway. So it's like that could have been me. It could have been David, because David was gay as well. We're both openly gay now. But at the time it was just, so the female attention was just, I just found it weird that people A, found me attractive, B, I felt like I was sort of cheating them because I was gay. But then it was just weird. I mean, I got G-string sent to the post and all sorts of weird stuff.
Oh gosh.
It's all on eBay.
Sold them on eBay.
Yeah.
I had a similar issue with, you know, Noel from Hearsay.
Yeah.
Noel Sullivan. He did obviously very famous in the musical theatre context. So I interviewed him for a radio station last year, and I think he was sort of put under pressure to keep it
under wraps.
Under wraps, because Noel's from Cardiff, I think. Well, he doesn't live in Cardiff now, but his family does. So yeah, it's a tricky issue, isn't it, where you're required to be different from obviously how you are with your family. And
yeah, I feel very odd about it now. I've almost it's only been in the last 5 years that I've thought, not that I felt cheated, but I felt like I wish I hadn't had to do it in the first place, but B, I wish I'd had more of a voice, because I've had people get in touch since, especially now with the Instagram and Facebook age, who've said, oh my God, you're amazing, and I was closeted and I was a kid growing up and you were, and it's like, well, they're the people I should have been reaching out to and saying, look, it's all right, I can. And most of the fans knew anyway. I mean, when we'd split up and they're all chatting to us, like, it was more realistic. There was no pressure of, oh, well, you've got to buy our single, it's out next week. It was just like we could have proper conversations about the world and the wife and everything. So
let's move on into More to This World, which is actually my favourite BBI song. I don't know, I think it's yours. Probably
it's my favourite as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's a brilliant song, isn't it?
It came about because we'd sort of run out of songs. Ian had done the album, and that was like the 24 songs that I recorded originally. And then our A&R guy, Steve Wolf, moved from A&M to MCA. So he started working with EYC, another boy band, American boy band. And I can't remember who stepped in. Someone stepped in sort of to take over the role, but there wasn't actually one A&Ring at the time at A&M. So they said, Bad Boys Inc. needs a new song. So More to This World was written, Take Me Away was written, Love Here I Come was written, and Change Your Mind, the song that never sort of came out, but we did record it and it was set to come out. So when I got More to This World, it was the first song that I'd had time to listen to, learn, think about how I wanted to perform it, and it wasn't like, here's a tape and you're doing it tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the morning in Chiswick and you just got a train over from Kent. So I felt more in control. I felt more like I was being given a chance to prove myself as a singer without sort of just painting by numbers singing, if you know what I mean. So I loved it. I just liked the feel of it. And I remember I actually said, can we just take it down a smidge? Because John Reid writes like like skyrocketing high, sort of. I was like, can we just bring it down a little bit? And he was like, oh, that means getting everyone in. I went, surely at this stage in our career, I'm allowed to just say, look, it's still too high. And I'm the one who has to perform it on top of the pop.
Yeah, well, then you'll look stupid if you can't reach the highest.
Exactly, exactly. It's like, I could reach that note, but probably only once every sort of 3 months.
Was it live singing though in Top of the Pops in those days?
90s.
Oh really?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, hated it. Absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
I just felt like I'd never really done it. I didn't know what monitors did. I didn't know what I needed to ask for in a monitor. It was all very sort of fish out of water. So I just found it really daunting. And then dancing like Janet Jackson on acid, I was like trying to do a live vocal. So one time we didn't have to do it when we did Take Me Away. And I absolutely loved that. That was my best performance on Top of the Pops because I could just let rip.
The only reason I'm surprised is I've definitely seen some miming on Top of the Pops. Not very well, but I'm not going to name names. But
I like it when they just have the microphone, it just sort of drift off. It's like, why are you even holding it?
Yeah. Or when they're trying to emulate a stuttery effect and they don't quite manage it. That's probably a bit too close to the bone, isn't it? There's a little bit of George Michael in your voice. Has that been a good thing for you, or has it been something that you wish people didn't talk about?
No, I think everyone tries to find some way of comparing someone, whether it's visually, what they sound like, anything. It's like, if you're going to compare me to anyone, George Michael was my hero. So absolutely, I'm quite happy to be compared to him than Alma Cogan, basically. So
yes.
Yeah, growing up, I was a massive Wham fan. So I don't know, maybe I tick on ways that he sang because I sang his song so often, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
I think it's a huge compliment, but it did get annoying.
Yeah. But nowadays, because of course George passed, and it's definitely something which I think makes you stand out, really, because I mean, you're my fandom, but I think your voice is amazing. I always thought it was.
Bless you, thank you.
Actually, let's talk a little bit about Take That, because you actually did meet them, didn't you? What was the circumstance in which you met them? Was it?
It was weird because it was Smash It's Poll Winners Party. So we've been doing the Poll Winners tour. So you go around the country doing sort of like your Wembley Arena size venues and Glasgow stuff and Manchester. And then we did the London show for the TV, which is out on the Sunday, I think. We were absolutely exhausted. We've been promoting like anything. We've been on every TV show you could think of. And we were just sort of sitting like 20 rows back from the stage, and they just walked in and sort of sat near us, and then we just started chatting. So it was just, hadn't really thought about it ever happening, but it was quite normal and quite nice. I spoke to Howard for a while and Robbie, and Gary was a bit aloof with us just because of the Ian Levine sort of situation.
Yeah.
Which I think he was a bit bitter and tainted at the time, and I think he's sort of over that now.
Yeah, I think he is, because in his book, his autobiography, which I've read, there's definitely been a tension there between they've both written books, actually. So, but that happens in the music industry, doesn't it?
Ian is hard work. Ian knows what he wants, and he's quite hard work in a studio. He's quite demanding.
That can be a good thing, because I'm a little bit of a control freak as well when it comes to the studio, and
you
do have a conflict sometimes. I think there is a conflict sometimes when you know exactly what you want and you're working with people.
You're not getting it. Yeah, they're not delivering.
You're not getting it. So, So, is there anything else in relation to BBI before we move on to MadHen?
No, not really. It was just a huge learning curve. It was like 2 years of my life that I look back, sort of fond memories, and there's things I'd love to have changed. There's things that nearly happened. Like we nearly did a duet with Donna Summer, which literally I think I was in Finland. Yeah, I was in Finland, and they said we'd done a cover of Heaven Knows, the Donna Summer song.
I love that song.
I love that song. And we were going to do a duet with it, with me and her singing, and CNC Music Factory, Clavillas and Cole producing it. And then literally 4 hours later, they went, "Oh, it's not happening." I was like, "What happened there?" But Ian was very controlling when it comes to production, because then we also got offered, the Bee Gees wanted to work with us because they'd heard we'd done a cover of one of Barry's songs, Ain't Nobody Gonna Keep Me From You, and Ian said no.
Sorry, you're just saying so many amazing things, because that's one of my favourite Terry DeSario songs. Ain't Nothing You've sung
it's
that.
amazing.
I've got a demo of it.
No, we actually recorded it. I can send it to you. I think it was a B-side. Wind and fire and the pouring rain.
Oh, I love that song. But how did you manage to sing that? Because she's a girl, Terry.
Yeah.
But they got it in the right key for you, presumably.
Well, probably not. It was probably a lot of falsetto towards the chorus, but I loved singing that. And it was weird because I was like, I know this song from somewhere, and then I realised what it was. But they wanted to work with us, and then Ian said no, so they ended up working with Take That. So well done, Ian. You've shot yourself in the foot.
Well, yeah, I bet to be fair to him, he did find two amazing songs there, and it's just a shame. I think it probably, in terms of why I'm not trying to tell you why it ended, but presumably after 6 singles, it wasn't felt, the record company didn't feel that it was financially.
No, it was more, it was political. It was
it? Oh.
Yeah, it was to do with Miss Dina Carroll.
Oh, okay. Explain.
She was signed to A&M, we were signed to A&M, and we were both with the same management, which was First Avenue, Oliver Smallman and Dennis Inglesby. And Howard Berman, who was the head of A&M at the time, who we were under, was moving to Mercury, and he said, I want to take Dina to Mercury. And then there was a sort of game that if you take Dina, we'll drop Bad Boys Inc. So he took Dina, because Ollie and Dennis allowed him
That's
to
terrible.
leave A&M. Yeah, so we was the sort of outcome of that. It's like, thanks. It was more about the management and not having control of what we did, really. So we all just went, look, we were about to do another album, and I was like, I can't do this anymore because I'm just being used as a pawn in a very, very political game. That's not what it should be about. It should be about enjoying the process of A, being an artist, B, being creative, because I wanted to write, and I'd written songs that never got used. So it was like, that wasn't me. I wasn't just a puppet. I wasn't a Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, no, you were obviously a real performer, and
I wanted integrity.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, but that's I certainly didn't know that. I don't know if that's widely known, but
well, I've definitely banded it about in interviews and stuff, and no one's really sort of secretive about it, and it's not the story that came out at the time.
No, I can imagine it wasn't. I mean, I don't know whether you want to talk too much about this, but certainly for me, it's something when you have a real disappointment like that, it does affect you. And it must have been quite difficult to come out of a band like that and then find that you're not.
I think I went through like a big bout of depression. I really do. I remember distinctly one day, because I was still living at my parents because we were hardly ever home. And I remember just being in the bath and starting to shake and stuff, and it was raining outside and it was miserable. And I was just like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Because there had been talk. Oh God, there's so many stories to tell you. We need about a 5
Go
hour
on,
interview.
please.
There was even talk about, okay, what happens? All right, we're gonna do a Wham, and we're gonna push Matthew as a solo artist post Bad Boys Inc. They were talking about that in A&M.
Yeah.
And the single that never came out, Change Your Mind, which was again because of political reasons. There was going to be 2 CD singles, like there was Picture Disc and all sorts at the time. And one of the covers was just going to be me. And it's like, I felt really awkward about it. I was having discussions with them. They were going, we're going to do this. We're going to start pushing you off as a solo singer. And I was like, this is really odd because I feel faithful to the boys in the band. And it wasn't my decision. I wasn't pushing to be a solo singer, doing a Ronan or a sort of Robbie. But yeah, there was so much weird stuff went on at the end. And it just became ugly. So I think we all just went, I can't do this anymore.
No. So
we could have done. We were offered another record deal and we turned it down.
So who was that? Was Ian managing you as a band then, or did you have
First Avenue Records, which is Oliver Smallman and Dennis Inglesby. So they had Emanate, Dina, and they had Mary Kiani on their books at the time as well. So they were doing a lot of dance stuff. Pauline Henry, Michelle Gale. So yeah, there was a lot of us about in that one camp. Eternal. There's another 4 hours of story.
Yeah. Well, we won't do the 4-hour story about Eternal, although I can imagine.
It was definitely a massive learning curve at that time.
But how do you? I mean, I certainly have an issue with things like X Factor and the 6-chair challenge, where they literally destroy your life in 5 minutes. I think Simon Cowell's amazing. I mean, I've done work for Simon, and he's a really nice guy, but in terms of that particular issue and taking someone's dreams away in seconds,
completely.
I do think. Go on.
It's more about the TV and the sensationalization of stories, and the fact that when they do The Voice, you have to suddenly become Mariah Carey. And it's like some singers have amazing albums, amazing songwriters, but they can't riff like Mariah Carey. So why are you battling them like they have to? Yeah. I think a lot of good artists have come out recently who are they've got more integrity, more rawness. The sort of really manufactured stuff just isn't happening as much. And I'm not slating that because I'm an absolute huge pop fan. I mean, look at how Kylie started. She had no idea the career she was about to have when she did Locomotion. It's like, oh, well, I can sing a bit. I'll do a song. And then, I mean, the last album, I think, Sensational. It's pure pop, and I'm a huge pop fan. So it's lovely to sort of hear that back in the charts again.
Yeah. yeah, yeah. It's amazing how you can become an overnight success or an overnight failure, I suppose. Because I'm sure that Kylie didn't think that that was going to happen to her, because we had the story from Pete Hammond, and it's a well-known story that she was kept waiting. It might never have happened. She might have gone back to Australia, but
you should be so lucky.
Yeah, but she's got some good people to work with her, and some amazing albums, working with some amazing people, and she is an excellent performer, of course. So it just shows, doesn't it? You can either
it's definitely right place, right time, those sort of things. And the whole Kylie, Jason, Stockhausen and Waterman era was just perfect for that whole era. It was just amazing. I remember telling Ian that they'd offered us a record deal. I was joking at the time. I was mid-recording the first album. I said, "Oh, Pete Waterman's been on the phone." He was like, "No, say nothing to him." I was like, "No, I'm joking. I'm just winding him up." I just knew he had a bit of beef with him as well. He's got beef with everyone.
Well, I think if you're successful, that does happen, doesn't it? Yeah, let's not go down the politics route.
No, let's not go down there. I'll have my lawyers on the phone.
Yeah, looking at the other side, these people do make stars of people that wouldn't necessarily do it on their own. And it's the same with, I'm not sure with any of the boy bands, the people that were chosen would originally have made it without them.
I wouldn't be doing half the things I'm doing now if I hadn't been in that situation in the first place.
Yeah, and even with One Direction, which is put together by of X Factor people that they decided not to put them through as individually, and look what happened to them. So I don't think we should be too hard on, not that you were, but there's always two sides to it, really. But I think there are politics, even now I'm sure there is. But,
there is in everything. Every industry does politics. So it's just when it's something that's really. I think when you're creative, I think creative people tend to be more passionate about what they do. It's not like I'm doing a job where I'm going, "Oh, I'm adding up figures today and I'm loving it," and I'm sitting with my calculus and my calculator, and I'm doing it because it's part of me. It exudes from my soul, basically, without sounding a bit sort of cliche. It's like something that really, it gives me goosebumps, and I love doing it. So for someone to stifle that, I think that's what my issue with anything like that. If you're stifling someone or taking their dreams away or trying to make them something they're not, I think it's really difficult for someone who's a creative. I wouldn't tell you how to remix anything.
No.
You just slap me around the face.
Yeah. I think everyone should be an expert at what they do. And you've got record producers, you've got managers. I think it's important for a group to have very good management, but you did. But again, even then, certain political things can come into the equation. But that's why, actually, another interesting issue, I don't want to distract things too much, is for the way, and in lockdown, artists are much closer to their fans now, I think, because of Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives. Yeah. You didn't have that then, did you?
No, that's the thing I'm sort of grateful for. There was no real Heat magazine at the time. I could fall out of a club at 4 a.m. and I'm probably not going to get papped and stuff. So I got away with murder with a lot of things. But nowadays, it's like literally you can just sort of blink and it's on the internet 2 seconds later. So I would find that very intrusive. I mean, we had people sitting in my parents' garden. I used to go in the back of the car to get to the gym so they didn't see me because I didn't want to see anyone that day. Or it's just you feel like you're being owned and like watched constantly. It's a bit sort of Big Brother sort of scenario of like, I can't do anything. And being gay, it just made me even more fearful, really. I didn't want to have a relationship. I didn't really want to be seen out in a gay club or be talking to the wrong person. And then journalists would say, "Oh, we've heard you're gay," and sort of try and get a story. And it'd be like, exhausting, pretending to be something you're not, basically.
Yeah, you would have been on the front page of The Sun in 1995, I would have thought, if they'd got that story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people go on about social media, and there is another side to it. And I mean, I know it must be difficult if you're given death threats or death threats have been made and you're famous, but I think social media is quite important. It's not always a negative thing, because
no, not at all.
What's, for example, when I was growing up in the 80s, it was Thatcher, and she really controlled the press, I think some people have said, and
there's more freedom of speech, and for people to be able to express themselves in so many ways. Yes, there's bad sides to everything. There's bad sides in the paper, in the newspapers. There's good bits in the newspaper. It's like social media is just sort of heightening all that. It's like just making it to the forefront. So you have more opinions, which sometimes can get exhausting when you're when you're looking at the sort of political world of Facebook and everyone's got an opinion on everyone and everything, and it's like you just choose to ignore it or just accept what you want to accept and go on with your little life without getting too embroiled.
Yeah. I certainly think people go too far. Obviously, I'm not in favour of death threats and things, but
yeah,
there's a lot of controversy, which I think, well, people do have the right to express their own opinion, and just because you don't agree with it, well, I get that all the time.
We had fan mail that was, I say fan mail, we had mail sent to us either to the record company or to our management office, and that would have pictures with our eyes cut out and people say, I'm going to kill you and all sorts of stuff. So it was the forerunner to sort of trolling on the internet. It was just in sort of paper form, and someone had bothered to cut my eyes out in a Smash Hits magazine.
But we know why that is. It's probably Take That fans, isn't it? Because they thought
exactly. No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
lots of that. It was horrendous. Or it was Gary Barlow's mum.
Yeah, well, perhaps we better not say that. So, okay, so let's actually move away then from BBI. So, just take us from then until MadHen started.
So yeah, MadHen started around 2000, sort of turn of the century.
Yeah.
And I had been sort of, so after Bad Boys Inc. split up, it was a bit of a weird time, and I was trying to get some solo work and deals and stuff. And I even went to America to work with Rick Wake, producer Rick Wake, who offered me a deal, and I turned it down. I can't remember why.
Oh, dear.
It just sounded like I was going to be sort of locked up in the same deal I just sort of got out of. So it was all a bit strange. I got offered Joseph straight out of Bad Boys Inc. by
really?
Yeah, I was going to take over from Darren Day, and I went, no. What I wanted to do was get out of my management contract, because I was a bit sort of signed for a few years. Yeah. So I pretended I didn't want to do anything to do with music, acting, nothing. So I went a bit sort of hidden. So then I went to New York and did a lot of writing and recording over there. And then MadHen came about because I'd been working in a friend's sort of covers band, doing sort of weddings and corporate events. And then one of the girls was away on holiday, and another girl came in, and we got on really well, Helen, who's in MadHen. And Helen said, oh, we've put together an 80s band. You'd be brilliant for that. And I was like, yeah, I'm well up for that. And then MadHen became the sort of party band it is now, from an 80s tribute band. Helen looks like Debbie Harry and did sort of a Debbie Harry tribute band as well. So MadHen's been going like 21 years, which is really scary. And we haven't killed each other.
Well, you obviously get on. Just explain a little bit, because there's 5 of you, aren't there? So there's you and Helen.
There's 5 of Helen, me, Paul the drummer, Andy on bass, and Martin on guitar. It's a covers band that literally happened from an 80s band, and then we added sort of modern stuff, and then I started mashing stuff up. So it's basically like a DJ would do, but within a live band. So our idea is to keep people on the dance floor as long as you can, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a corporate event in the middle of Doha in a desert, or it's on a beach in Barbados. We've done people's living rooms. We've done everything. So it's been nice to get really creatively involved in that. And A, I'm the singer, but B, I also do all the graphics. I do all the artwork. I do all the social media, which is all very newfangled. When we started, we didn't have to. We were still burning CDs and sending them out from the computer. So it's been nice to get really heavily creative in putting the music together and making it exciting for us as performers. But then I think that sort of translates to the audience, who go, they look like they're having a good time, I want to dance. So that's our sort of main goal.
Did you say that you did the mashups then? Or
yourself?
Oh, really? So musically you did it all? Or did you?
Yeah, well, I do it. I put a lot of it together. Helen then gets involved, and we check whether it works, whether the songs work for her. And then with Paul, our drummer, we just put in all the bits we need to do. Like we put delays on vocals that are on the click track, and we haven't got a keyboard player, so all the keyboard parts are put on. But we try and make things sound as realistic as possible. So Helen and I can't do a 5-part harmony, so we just layer it up, and then so it just makes it sound fatter when we're doing it live on stage. So, but it's all pretty raw and organic, but it's just got a nice sort of sparkly layer underneath, you know what I mean? But I also did make backdrop videos for it all as well, which is also fun.
Wow, you're a clever man.
I know.
Because
pay rise.
Yeah, definitely. Because 40 years ago, actually, at the end of this year, I invented something called the Megamix, which was the forerunner of the mashup. I'm not going to talk too much about it.
I was a huge DMC fan for donkey's years. Literally, I used to try and buy the vinyls from like dodgy record shops in like Kensington, and I worked at the Hippodrome as a dancer in Yeah, when I was like 19, I want to say I was 19. And they used to play your stuff all the time, and they had all your vinyls, and I was like, please, can you record that for me? Because then they went on to CDs and stuff. I was like, I really want to get that mixed. So that's why I sort of knew of your name and all the other guys and stuff. And sort of, I see all the sort of legends. A legend in your own DMC world.
An unknown legend, not very well known legend, but maybe
no,
one
your
day.
name's very well known.
You don't want to talk too much about me, but certainly, you know, the difference between a megamix and a mashup and a medley and things like that is quite an interesting one for DJ fans, but I'm not going to go into that now. But it's very clever that you get them in the same key, I think, and or at least you find songs that are, because the you know, the Lost in Music mix and the one that's on the website is quite interesting as well, 'cause it seems to be in the same key as
I just think I've got one of those brains that I will hear something and then something else will start happening in my brain. Oh, we could sing that there, and then we could and then we could. So you might have Lost in Music. I'm actually singing Uptown Funk, and then we sing Lost in Music. But people don't even find it weird. I don't think a lot of people realise that I'm not singing Uptown Funk to Uptown Funk. So trying to make it all seamless.
Yeah, there was something on the GMB a few weeks ago where some chap had mixed two songs together, and it was sort of as if that was something that had been done like yesterday for the first time. And I just felt that, because obviously you've been doing it since 2005, and a lot of us have been doing it for even longer than that. Actually, so in terms of the years, the MadHen started in
millennium, so 2000,
Oh, okay.
Just doing the sort of 80s stuff,
Yeah, so we'll put details of your websites and any other contact information in relation to MadHen at the end of this video.
Fantastic.
So should we move on then to the Eurovision? Because obviously we've got a lot of Eurovision fans who might be watching this. So we're taking us up to 2016 now. So it's MadHen in the meantime. Is there anything else in that period? Am I jumping forward too much between 2001 and 2016?
No, I've just been flying around the world being a MadHen.
No, I think because these corporate bands really who don't do mainly corporate work do well, because I interviewed, because I do interviews as well, a musicals band or group. There's 4 amazing singers for musicals, and they organise it themselves, and they do a lot of venues like St David's Hall, and so it's great actually that everyone can start their own business, if you like, and do well. And
ours grew really organically as well. It was really nice how it grew really steadily, and we are pretty. I mean, we were doing about 100 gigs a year. So at the end of Feb last year to suddenly, we had our busiest diary already. To suddenly go from literally doing 3 or 4 gigs a week to nothing was just really bizarre. Really bizarre.
Yeah, and you know, you are very good. I checked all the stuff on the website, and I'm not surprised that you get a lot.
We've got our first gig in June, our first confirmed gig in June coming up.
Yeah, of course, it must be difficult now, but it'll change. I think by the end of the the end of the year, certainly this sort of thing will be done. And I suppose a corporate event is even more COVID safe in a way, because you can really plan it better, and or certainly for the audience.
Exactly.
And
so
if
I think it'll be different, but it'll pick up steadily as well. It's not like I'm suddenly begin doing three or 4 gigs a week straight away. I've got 2 in June and then a few drips and drabs in August, and I think it will slowly build towards the end of the year. Who knows what will happen towards the end of the year, but that's how it's looking in a minute. So first one is a wedding, and then we've got a 50th on a boat up the Thames like you do. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on forward to 2016 then. And a little story which you may not be aware of is that we actually put a song forward, myself and Rob, who, I don't know if you know that, but we actually put our song, The Message, forward for Eurovision that year. We didn't get through, but then we released it in 2016 in the summer, and it got to #1 in an iTunes chart, so it did quite well. Because a lot of people have said it's a Eurovision song. We've got a key change in it. But anyway, so just tell us a bit about that, because you didn't actually write the song for that, but who did write the song?
Her name's Helene Lindvall, and I literally got a phone call from a friend of mine, Tina Matthews, who's a manager, and she said, oh, someone's put a song forward for Eurovision and it's been selected, I think, to the last 12 or whatever she said at the time. They need someone to actually do a vocal on it because they're still using the original demo. So I was like, oh, fine, whatever. She said, well, you do it. And I went, yeah. But then from doing the vocal, it was something like, oh no, you're through and you're now on the program. I'm like, this is a bit different. This is not what I really signed up for. So yeah, that was another sort of jump in feet first whirlwind. Like, I think it was 5 weeks before I actually did the show, I first heard the song, and then flew to Sweden and recorded the vocals, and then suddenly I got bombarded with social media going, "You're doing an interview with so and so in Paris," and I was like, okay, this is all a bit crazy. No, it was good. It was a great time. I loved doing the song. It was nice to record something new and a bit fresh. I think I sounded a bit different the way I sang it. It was a less sort of breathy George Michael vocal. It was a little bit harder, but it was nice. It was a nice challenge, really, and I just took it all and did it and didn't get through.
Yeah, but I think it was probably too good for Eurovision. It wasn't a typical Eurovision song, was it?
Yeah,
it
wasn't Eurovision enough for me.
No.
At the time when I was being interviewed, I told them it was.
Yeah, probably your vocal was probably too good for Eurovision either. I probably shouldn't have said that. I upset a lot of people. But yeah, so obviously, can you remember who the judges were? Because I can't remember actually.
It was oh God, who was it? It was David Grant's wife, the
Carrie, wasn't it? Yeah,
Carrie, and who else was on the
Don't
panel?
worry.
I can't remember.
It's a long time
anyway.
ago.
Yeah, my brain. I'm getting old now.
But I know they were quite complimentary because I can remember it. They said, "Oh, this is an amazing song," and I can still remember them in the audience. And it was Mel, wasn't it?
Katrina was one of them as well.
Katrina Waves, yes.
Yeah. She said he sounds like an accomplished singer who knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I was like,
well, she was right.
Oh, me.
Yeah. I mean, what's it like, those competitions? Because you're presumably coming out of, you don't really know the other competitors very well, but they seem to.
No, it was actually quite fun. They were a really nice bunch. Yeah, it was really weird because we'd rehearse at different times and we'd sort of cross paths and you'd sort of see someone and we didn't really know until it was all announced. And then we all got on really well. It was quite a giggle actually. Yeah. I'm still in touch with most of them.
Okay, you weren't at the same year as Carl Lund, were you? No.
Yes.
I think he was the next. You were. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Carl sang on Stronger Together, which is my charity record.
Oh.
Yeah. So I met Carl.
Lovely.
Yeah, he is. I didn't think it was the same year as you, but that's a bit of a coincidence again.
Yeah, he made me look fat because he was about 8 stone at the time.
I'm sure that would be possible.
Okay.
So just take us up then. Is there anything from that? Because obviously it must have been a bit of a disappointment because you see the winner then going all the way to.
It wasn't because I didn't think it was the right song for a sort of Eurovision thing. I thought it was a great song, but I'm not sure that it would have done well in Eurovision. But I mean, we could go into a whole spiel about what's happening with Eurovision and political voting and all the UK stuff. And I'm a huge Eurovision fan.
Yeah, so am I.
I think the pressure of it would have been immense. I was doing really well with MadHen at the time, so it was a little bit of an inconvenience. I was literally doing a gig at Butlins the night before I did the show, and I had about 2 hours sleep. So I was like, this is like exhausting. So in one way, I was a bit disappointed, but in another way, I was quite relieved that I didn't actually have to do the big finale, as it were.
Yeah, it must be difficult when it's live. Okay, then. So just a couple of questions then before we finish. So what are your plans for the future then? I mean, obviously live work is one, but is there anything else that you'd like to do?
I've started doing a lot of writing again. I sort of put it off during lockdown. I said as soon as lockdown happened that I would start writing and recording, and I did do a few little things with various people, but it's something I find it quite therapeutic as well, sort of offloading lyrics and ideas, and I could sit there for hours just twiddling with drum loops and sort of sounds on the computer and stuff. So that I find myself get really immersed in it. And I think if you do something like that sort of makes you happy without sort of thinking about everything else around you, that's what you should be doing, really. That's sort of your purpose and stuff. So I want to just do more writing and recording. Who knows what's around the corner? I mean, MadHen's going to pick up again. That keeps me really busy, but it's like, how long can you keep doing it? I'm 50 in May.
No, you don't look it.
50 in May, and my legs and arms haven't fallen off just yet, but it's definitely getting harder.
Let me ask you the question, which I'm sure a lot of people watching will want me to ask. So, do you think there's any chance of a BBI reunion to perform and sing?
Well, we were asked to do the big reunion. Well, we weren't asked to. I was approached to do the big reunion. So I had a meeting with the producers at ITV, And I spoke to the other guys about it, and they were like, "Oh, I don't really know. How much money is it?" And I was like, "Well, I don't really know." They're just sort of banding about the idea. So I just went, "Look, if you're not all into it, I'm not going to do it half-heartedly or with two of us or me and the cleaner or something." So I don't think there'd ever be a reunion. I don't know, something, anything is possible. Yeah, never say never.
If you're offered enough money.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, finally then, the final question then, because I certainly feel that in America, there's a big division now between America and the UK. It's a completely different culture there, and the pop stars there, or I think celebrities might be a better word because it covers non-pop stars, do seem to be more vocal in expressing their views on matters of the day, like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and certainly they did in the election, the American election. But I don't get that impression from the UK celebrities. I mean, putting it from their point of view, what's the argument not to get involved in social issues? Were you told not to?
Yeah, at the time, being in Bad Boys Inc., definitely, it was like, you don't have you have an opinion, but just don't get too political and stuff like that, because David could get quite political in interviews and stuff, and you just see the management sort of glaring at us behind the screen going, "No, we can just stop this interview now." Or I think the American thing's only sort of happened in the last sort of 5 or 10 years, I'd say. I loved watching the Taylor Swift documentary where she said, I can't bite my tongue anymore. I need to say something. I need to speak up. I don't know why we're so, I just think we're a little bit polite here sometimes. It's a bit, it's that sort of British sort of, oh, just don't say anything, don't spoil anything. And that whole, it's like just being gay in a boy band. It's like, well, you can't say anything, you can't do it. It's like, I think I would be much more vocal now.
Yeah.
And I think even watching It's a Sin, I found some of that so empowering, and just the stuff Ollie sort of said coming out of it. It's like, I felt like I was back in my youthful days, and I was like, oh, I wish I'd been a bit more outspoken. I wish I'd done this. But that's hindsight, and it's like, I don't regret anything I've done.
I don't expect you to have done anything other than what you did. You know, I think it's a lot easier now in 2021 to express your views. But that's why I get surprised sometimes. I can see why, for example, Gary Barlow is conflicted, because if he came out in favour of, he can't win really if he comes out in favour of, say, Meghan Markle as opposed to the Queen, because obviously he's got, you might have views which, you know, support one in relation to mental health and support the other in relation to loyalty, and obviously he's got links.
I think everyone's a little bit precious about their own careers and what they would get or not get out of it. Basically, it's a little bit. But I mean, there are artists who do speak up for things and who wave flags and do all the stuff that needs to be done. And I think that will just get bigger and bigger and bigger as things sort of grow. I mean, the whole Meghan thing, 10 years down the line, will probably feel very small and insignificant because people will have moved on and accepted more things in life in general.
Yeah, but I think it's incredible how it's taking off, really. It's almost like US v UK, you know, and men versus women even. It's just because you get a completely different view from males than you do from females on these issues. But let's not go down that route. But I think it's an interesting point to see about the future, whether what
I like is that things are coming to the surface that haven't been discussed and haven't been talked about or have been neglected. So I think it's good, and it's like, whether it riles people or gets people fired up in a positive way or a negative way, it's just good to talk about things, because then it's out in the open. It's all this sort of secretive, keep things behind. Which is very British, I think. Oh, let's tidy that away and put it away, and we won't talk about that. Yeah.
So has anyone ever asked you to write a book? Because you've got such a fascinating life story. I'm surprised that, because I've learned quite a lot in this interview.
No, a friend of mine did, and I went, well, who's going to buy it? She's like, well, people probably wouldn't. I don't know.
Would.
Yeah, I'm tempted to do it. I'd be really tempted to do it, because I've got a lot of funny anecdotes and a lot of stories that I think people would not be shocked at, but be like, wow, I didn't know that. And I've had a very colourful life, which is nice, and I don't regret anything like that. I don't take it for granted either. I've loved every minute of it, even the sad and bad times. But that's what makes you who you are, and makes you grow as a person.
Definitely. Okay, on that positive note, let's leave it there. So thank you very much for your time, Matthew, and we'll meet up socially when we can.
Yeah, exactly. Take care.
And you.